Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Happy Friday. We've got, what, like 2 weeks left of the year? It's pretty crazy. And here we are. Hopefully, you guys are on track to hit your goals. Hopefully, some of these things that we've trained on over the last few weeks have helped you guys have some strategies to go out and make it happen. Go out and get that last minute production that you need to finish the year strong. And today we're gonna dive into some objections, some life insurance objections. What I'd like you guys to do is whatever objection you feel like you want the most help with today, type that objection in the chat for me. And let's stay specific to life insurance today, if you guys are okay with that. Let's stay specific to life insurance. What objections are you guys hearing around life insurance that sometimes just stop the conversation from going forward? Because I get it. I get it. Sometimes that can happen, and sometimes we freeze. And I think you guys know what I'm saying. And it's funny because we freeze even though we kind of know these objections are coming up. We freeze even though we've gotten these objections before. But why do we freeze? Well, I believe that we freeze because we don't really know where to go next. We don't know what to say. Today, hopefully by the end of this call, you can walk away with exactly what to say, exactly what question to ask, to be able to not just take that objection for what it is, but almost challenge the objection. Because how many of you agree with me here that most objections that we hear are just knee-jerk responses? It's just a knee-jerk response from the customer or the prospect that in a lot of ways gets us off of the phone. So I've got life insurance for my job, Troy. Are we getting that one a lot? My word. It's got to be the most common one, at least the one that I got the most. Carolyn, I got one yesterday where she said she works for the state. She has great benefits. So is that similar to I have it through work? Yeah, I think we can classify that one as I have it through work. Okay. So we'll definitely get into the I have life insurance through work. What other objections are you guys running into? Throw them in the chat because this is all you. This is all you. Whatever objections y'all tell me, that's where we're going to spend our time today. Okay. So here's what I also want you guys to think about. I think, yes, it's important that we understand what to say, what questions to ask when we get objections with life insurance. But do you guys feel it's important to know like when these objections are coming up too? Like would I maybe handle the I have life insurance through work objection differently if it came up right after I tried to open a life insurance conversation versus if it comes up later down in the conversation? Because guys, I believe that it's not just about the objection that you're getting, but it's when it's coming up. Okay, so we're going to look at two categories of objections today. The first category is going to come from, it's going to be early objections. Meaning, David, you're having a conversation with Coulter, you're quoting me out on my home, or I called in for whatever reason, I'm your current customer, and you try to bring up life insurance, and I hit you with an objection right out of the gate. We haven't even talked about, selling. Like, we haven't even talked about why life insurance would be important. We haven't done any sort of selling yet, and we're hit with the objection. We haven't even got to the price. Okay, so think about objections in terms of early objections and late objections. Early objections are going to come before you even build value, before you sell, and before you give them the price. Late objections are going to be objections that you get after you give them the price, after you've tried to sell them. Okay. I don't care what happens when I die. Okay. It's too expensive. I want to think about it. I need to talk to my wife. These are all really good. You guys are all really good. So let's do a little bit of a self. I've got a question for y'all that I want you to answer in the chat, and this is designed for you to understand where are these objections coming up for me right now for the most part. So if you feel like you're getting objections right out of the gate, type early in the chat for me. If you're getting them more so after you give the price, after you get into the conversation, type late for me in the chat. Okay? Because the way that we're going to handle these is going to be different based on when you guys are getting these objections. Now, I also think that objections are situational. So what we talk about today, you guys have got to learn to be fluid. You got to learn to understand the situation. Is it a current customer or is it a prospect? Who are you talking to? Do they have family or do they not have family? Do they have people that rely on them for their income or do they not? Because life insurance might mean something different for a 20-year-old that's single, no one relies on them for their income, than for someone that's maybe 45 years old. They've got, they're married and they've got three kids. So it's situational. And when we talk about objections, I want you to think about reframing. Reframing. Because an objection, all it is, guys, is it's a customer's current way of thinking. They're thinking about life insurance in one way and one way only, based on their past experience, based on what they have through work, based on their current situation, based on their current belief about it. All we're trying to do, guys, is we're trying to say, hey, you know what, David? Have you ever thought about looking at it this way? You know what, David? I know you've been thinking about it this way, and I totally get it, but have you ever thought about this? And the idea here, guys, is I don't want to ever have David feel like I'm just trying to steamroll him and that I'm trying to just sell him and I'm trying to prove him wrong and show him why I'm right because I'm this insurance professional and you should trust me because this is what I do every day. Some of us want to fall into that. What I want to do instead is I want to help guide David to the realization on his own that, you know what, Coulter? I never really thought about that before. If I can get David to stop and think and scratch his head and say, huh, yeah, I never really thought about that before. I consider that to be very effective. And it goes away from we're trying to sell David to we're trying to help David. And guys, when you get these objections, you need to have that mindset that they're not telling you no, they're just telling the situation no based on their beliefs. And that's all we're doing is we're reframing it. You know what, David? I see how you see it this way, but have you ever thought about this? Okay, you guys follow me so far? Okay, this is all foundational, and this will help you handle these objections when they come up. Now, I think the words that we use matter, even to ourselves. When we're talking about objections, I used to think that I needed to overcome objections. How does that word feel for y'all? Overcome Walter's objections. I need to overcome Sherry's objections so I can sell her. How does that word feel? Let me know in the chat or come off of mute. Let's talk about that for a minute. Overcome. So Hallie says it feels like a lot of work. I agree. Okay. What else, guys? How does that word feel? Overcome. Does it feel like I'm trying to sell someone something, or does it feel like I'm trying to help someone with something? Feels like a battle, right, Carolyn? Feels like a battle. And it's almost like me versus the customer. And I don't like that. The customer doesn't like that, and you guys don't like it either. So instead, we're just going to visualize, instead of we're against them, we're going to visualize we're on their same team. We're on their same team. And we're going to swap out the word overcome with handle. We're going to handle objections. We're not going to overcome them. We're going to handle them. We're going to handle them like a professional. And we're going to do it in a way where Coulter's not sounding like every other salesperson out there trying to just sell you something. But Coulter's genuinely concerned, and he's genuinely just trying to make sure that you're sure with what you said by doing it strategically, by showing maybe a different frame. Okay? So we're going to start with the I have it through work objection. And here's what I'd like to do. I'd like someone to get a crack at this. I'd like someone to come off of mute Coulter just told you I have life insurance through work. You said, "Hey, Coulter, what are you doing about your life insurance?" And I said, "You know what? I've got it through work. I'm good." Who wants to share how they have been handling that objection on the phones? Let's get a volunteer before we get into it. And I'd encourage you guys, if you're not the one volunteering, think about what you would say, what questions you would ask to handle that objection. And maybe even throw it in the chat while we do this, okay? Let's go, Carolyn. Let's do this. Carolyn, I'm good. I've got it through work.
Well, that's great, Coulter. You're smarter than most people out there. Do you know how much that policy is for?
I actually am not 100% sure. I just know I've got something.
Most people don't know. They usually just give it to you and it's for pennies, or free. Do you happen to know if you've reviewed that recently? Who's it with?
Yeah, it's just through work, but I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk about setting something up that if you were to leave your job or your job were to leave you, you have something in place for your family here. And they don't have to search around for where it is or who they need to contact.
Okay. Not bad. Carolyn, I want to help you today. I think this is going to be good. Okay. Guys, did you, let me ask you this, Carolyn, do you feel like in that, were you trying to just tell Coulter the problem
Yes,
with the work
like I'm
policy?
talking at you.
You're talking at me a little bit. Do you think that in my mind, I see any reason as to why I might have this problem? Or do you think that because the way that you're kind of just talking at me, I'm like,
I don't want to
I'm
hear
not
it.
even interested. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Okay. So I want you to hold on to that, Carolyn. But, guys, here's the deal. Carolyn's here to win. Carolyn's always participating. So I want to have someone else. Who else is here to win? Carolyn, thank you. We're going to talk about that. Let's get one more. I
I
have life insurance to work. Let's do it, David. Let's do it.
uh, you say you have it through work. That's nice. Tell me, 90% of people that have it through work is usually 1 year salary. Do you know what yours is?
I'm not 100% sure.
Is it? I wonder if it's just a little bit of face amount, or is it more like a full coverage where it pays for the house and pays for the income and pays for your kids to go to college and your burial?
Oh yeah, I think it's probably just a smaller amount.
Yeah. What I'd like to do to throw this out is just see how you feel about it, put some numbers together and see what that would look like.
Okay, okay. Let's pause there, David. I love that second question. Did you guys see that? The second question was like, was it a cover, like a full coverage where it's going to come in and pay off all the loans, pay off the mortgage, replace income? Is it like that type of a coverage or is it just a smaller one? What does that question do? What does that question do? If I'm the customer and he asks me that, what is that question actually doing behind the scenes? The more we understand about this stuff, guys, I'm telling you, you're going to become dangerous. You're going to become confident. You're going to become certain. But when David asks that question in that way, what does it do in Coulter's mind? Makes the customer think, second guess what they have. Okay, I like that. What is David insinuating? What is David telling me without telling me directly? What is David helping? What is he guiding me to realize? There's one place that work policies fall short. In fact, there's two. David's hinting on the first place that work policies fall short. Where do work policies fall short? Let me know in the chat. Where do work policies fall short? There's really two spots. Let's identify both of those right now. Work policies fall short in coverage, Carolyn. Do most work policies have enough coverage to pay off the mortgage, pay off the loans on the vehicle, replace income for the next 20 years, pay for a funeral, leave money behind for school for kids' education, or even gifts or anything like that? Do work policies generally have enough coverage to do all of that, or are they generally a smaller coverage? They're generally a smaller coverage. Now, how many of your people actually know how much coverage they have? I mean, some of you guys have said, do you know how much coverage you have with work? How many of your customers actually know? How many of them tell you, oh, I've got 250,000? Hardly any, right? What do they mainly tell you? I actually don't know. It's a good question. I know I've got something, but I don't know exactly how much it is. And you guys might have noticed that sometimes it's like, well, where do we go now? They don't even know how much coverage they have. And so, like, where do I take this next? Now, what do we know? What do we know about work policies? How much coverage do they generally have? David said 90% have about 1 times your annual salary. Okay. Guys, the general rule is going to be about 1 to 2 times your annual salary. So if Coulter says, well, I actually don't know how much coverage I have after and only after you've asked that first question, we're gonna put this all together here, okay? But I want to ask David first. So with that policy at work, David, is it like the full coverage type policy where it'll come in and actually pay off the loan on the F-350, the loan on the Chrysler, pay off the mortgage in full, replace income for the next 10 years, leave money behind for kids for school? Is it like that type of a coverage, or is it just a smaller one? I want to ask that question first instead of jumping to tell him that, hey, it's usually only 1 to 2 times your annual income. Because if I can get David to go there first, I'm opening, I'm bringing awareness to a possible gap that he didn't think about before. It's one of those moments where he's like, huh, I've never really thought about that, but it's probably not enough to do all of that. And I'm insinuating, I'm telling him, I'm saying like, look, David, life insurance, you should have enough coverage to do all of that without just directly telling him. I'm helping guide him to that instead of just telling him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Does that make sense, guys? Okay. And so that's the first question that you can ask. And that's the first place that work policies fall short, is that there's usually not enough coverage. Now, we all know that. This is our world. We're training on it. We're talking to people. We're experts in this, but your customers don't know that. And first and foremost, I want to help David come to that realization on his own first, and then I'll tell him if I need to tell him. I'll educate him on what it actually is, which is 1 to 2 times your annual salary. Okay, so that's the first question. I'm going to repeat it. Okay, and this is the first question I always like to ask when I get the I have it through work objection. So, David, with that life insurance policy at work, is it the full coverage type policy where it's going to come in and pay off the loan on the F-350, pay off the Chrysler, pay off the home, replace income for the next 10 to 20 years, and leave money behind for Julie and the kids? Is it like that type of a coverage? Or is it just a smaller one? Now he's going to answer. He might say, you know what, Coulter, it's just a smaller one. He might also say, I actually am not 100% sure. Regardless, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to tell him, David, most work policies cover about 1 to 2 times your annual income. I'm going to educate him on that. And then I'm going to go into this next question. I'm then going to say, so David, let's say that it's 2 times your annual income. Is that going to be enough coverage to come in and pay off the mortgage, pay off the loans on the car, replace income for the next 10 to 20 years, and leave money behind for your family in the way that you want to? Is it going to be enough to do all of that? Now, he might just say, well, I don't think it would. Then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, so I guess if something did happen to you, your family's got something because you got that coverage through work. But maybe it only covers some of that, but not everything. I guess if something did happen and Julie and the kids had to be in a situation where they didn't have your income coming in anymore, what would Julie and the kids do then? What would Julie and the kids do then? You guys see that? I'm bringing awareness to this problem and I'm helping him play out this future scenario in his mind so he can realize that, you know what, I need more coverage than I currently have. You guys follow me? Type yes in the chat if you're following me. If this is making sense, if this is helping. Okay. Now I'm not done. Where's the second place that work policies fall short? So we talked about coverage. Where's the second place they fall short? Okay, so Emily says payout timeframes or losing the policy before you pass away. Okay. So let's talk about losing the policy. The second place that work policies fall short, guys, is ownership. They do not own the policy. The company does. They only get the policy when they work for the company. So, what happens if Coulter switches jobs? From what we know, does that benefit follow Coulter to his next job? Probably not. Well, what if Coulter didn't switch jobs, but Coulter got laid off? Is that benefit going to be like, here you go, Coulter, best of luck, but you got a life insurance policy. We're going to, no, it's not going to follow me. But what if Coulter gets sick, Walter? What if Coulter gets sick? What if he's seriously injured and he's now out of work for an extended period of time? Is it possible that that benefit will drop off because he's no longer working full time? Yes. And then what if Coulter retires? When Coulter retires, is that benefit going to follow him into retirement? No. So here's what I want to do. I don't want to just tell David, you don't own this policy yet. I want to see if I can help him come to a realization that you're right, I don't own this policy. So here's my second question. Okay, and it comes right after my first question or those series of questions about the coverage. Now, a lot of you in this situation, if you ask, hey, so David, is that like a full coverage type policy? You go through that question and your customer's like, well, I don't think it is. Or you get to a place where they're like, I don't think it is. It's not. A lot of you want to jump right into your recommendation. I would hold your recommendation until after you've gone into the second place they fall short. Because you're going to make this problem even bigger. You're going to create more of a demand to get a policy outside of work by bringing awareness to the second place they fall short, which is ownership. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. And so here's the second question. I'll say, so David, with that life insurance policy at work, if you decided to switch jobs, you no longer work for your current company. Heaven forbid, maybe the company went through some layoffs. Maybe, you got sick or seriously injured where you were out of work for an extended period of time and you were no longer working full time. Or even when you retire, David, do you know, can you take this policy with you if something like that were to happen? Or is it something that would stay with the job? David, if the job were to leave you or you were to leave the job, would this benefit follow you or would it stay with the company? Now, again, David may say, I don't know. David also might say, well, I think it would just stay with the company. Regardless, I'm going to then explain to him how it works. And what do we know? Well, it doesn't go with you. But I like to explain it to David in terms of an analogy that he can easily understand that it's like, you're exactly right, Coulter, I get it. And I'll say, David, typically these benefits are like, they're just benefits while you work there. It's kind of like a company car, David. I mean, you get to use the company car while you work there, but if you don't work for them anymore, they generally just don't let you keep the car. You got to turn it back in. Or you could also say it's kind of like a company computer. Like obviously you're going to be able to use it while you work there, but the moment that you're not working there anymore, you have to return the computer. You could also say, you know what, David? It's kind of like a company credit card. It's great. It's a good benefit that you've got while you work there. But if you don't work there anymore, they're usually not going to let you keep that company credit card. You guys follow me so far? Let me know in the chat. It's quiet today. I need to know where you're at so we know if we can keep moving forward or if you've got questions. I want to make sure you guys understand this. Okay, Adrian, I love it, my man. Makes sense, David. Okay, good deal. Okay. Following Troy, my man. I love it. Okay. And then, guys, after you've asked these two questions in this objection, now we can move this thing forward. What we don't want to do is we don't want to sit in this objection. We want to ask him the questions, maybe explain how it works a little bit, and then move forward with making a recommendation. And you can move forward by saying this, David, what I find a lot of people in your situation will do is just get something in place to help come in and cover. Again, we want to go back to whatever our positioning was of how we were going to sell life insurance to David in the first place. We want to take it back to that. We want to take it back to that. We're not just pitching life insurance to people. We would have pitched life insurance to pay off his loan on his truck, or we would have pitched life insurance to pay off the mortgage on his home, or to cover a funeral. And so when we move forward, instead of sitting in the objection and waiting for David, like, you're right. Well, what are options that you have? He's not going to say that. You need to guide him forward. Say, David, so what I want to do is I want to at least look and see what this would look like for you to just have something in place to pay off the Ford should something terrible happen to you. And this is something that, would be specific to covering the Ford. And it's something that's not tied to your job. It's something you completely own. So that should something terrible happen to you, Julie's got some money to come in and pay this thing off. So she's not in a position where she might be struggling with this payment on top of trying to deal with losing you. Let me look at that for you, David. You can always tell me what you think. David, what part did you want me to say again? Sorry.
Part just at the beginning. What I find people in your position.
Yeah. Yep. So here's what I'm going to do. What I find is that most people in your position will at least get enough coverage to X. Pay off your loan on your F-350. Pay off the mortgage. So that Julie and the kids, or so that mom and dad don't have to have this added financial burden on top of trying to deal with losing you. I'm going to look at that, David, and you can always tell me what you think. You see how I'm not sitting that objection, but I'm moving it forward? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Type yes for me. Okay? Type yes for me. There we go, Mandy. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now, guys, I hope that you're writing this down. And I see value in scripts, and we'll get you guys scripts. We're actively working on our platform. But the last thing that I want is for you guys to just have all the information without you trying to mentally think through it first. You're going to learn way more if you can put yourself in a situation and think, what would I actually say? What question would I actually ask? Then what would I do? And once you at first do the work, then you can go and use the script to help you. But you're going to learn a lot better if you can just get yourself there first. Okay, so write those questions down, and I'm going to repeat them one more time for you so you have them, okay? So this can be crystal clear because this is one of the biggest objections you're going to get, okay? So first and foremost, before I even ask the questions, what do I want to do? I want to acknowledge it. I want to say, David, I figured you'd say that. David, good deal. Glad you got something set up. David, awesome. Okay. David, no, that makes a lot of sense. I want to acknowledge it. I really like to acknowledge it and say, you know what, David, I figured you'd probably say that. Because it's like, well, okay. Right? It's kind of what I do when I was a door-to-door salesman. I'd always say, they'd be like, I'm not interested. I'd say, that's exactly why I'm here. Crazy enough. That's exactly why I'm here, David. Right? David, I figured you'd probably say that. I already know what's coming. Now, with that life insurance policy at work, David, is it like a full coverage type policy? And why would I say full coverage type policy? Is that not the biggest buzzword in insurance? People want full coverage, right? So it's like, is it a full coverage? But then I don't want to just stop there. I want to explain what I mean. Like, is it enough to come in and pay off the F-350 and the Chrysler, plus come in and pay off the mortgage, replace income for, Julie and the kids for the next 10 to 20 years, leave money behind for them in the way that you want, maybe pay for school or leave some money for the kids for a down payment on a house or maybe even a wedding? Like, is it like that type of a policy or is it just like a smaller one? Well, I don't know, Coulter. Okay, well, generally what I see with these, David, is it's usually about 1 to 2 times your annual salary. So let's just say that you've got 2 times your annual salary. Would that be enough to do all of that? Well, I don't know, Culture. Well, I don't think so. Okay. Now, with that work policy, policy at work, David, um, do you know, like, if something happened to you, maybe you got sick or seriously injured, you couldn't work full time anymore, or maybe you found a different job, so you left the job, or heaven forbid the company went through some layoffs and the job left you, or maybe even when you retire, do you know, David, is this something that you can take with you when you're not working there anymore, or does it stay with the job? Well, I think it stays with the job, or, well, actually, I don't actually know. I might need to confirm that. I'll say, David, it's typically benefits through work are typically only available when you work for the company. It's like kind of like a company car. They're going to give you the car, they're going to allow you to use the car while you work there, but the moment that you're not working there anymore, they usually don't let you keep the car. And so what I'm going to do, David, is I'm going to at least look and see what it would look like. Because what I find, David, is people think that this stuff's way more expensive than it actually is. But I'm going to look and see what it would look like to have something in place to come in and pay off the mortgage, just at least pay off the mortgage for Julie and the kids. That way, they're not in a position where they might be scrambling with this financial burden of trying to make the mortgage payment, keep up with that. That way, they're not in a position where they might have to sell the house out of necessity. Um, like on top of trying to deal with losing you, and on top of Julie trying to be emotionally strong for the family. And again, this is something that you would own. It's not going to be tied to your job. So let me look and see what that looks like, and you can always tell me what you think. Okay? We good with I have it through work? Is that helpful, guys? Let's do this. Share one highlight from that objection handling, whether it's the question you liked, whether it's the explanation, whether it's not sitting the objection. Put something in the chat that you're going to use the next time you get I have it through work. Julie, the full coverage. Isn't that interesting, guys? The words that we use matter. The words that we use matter. Okay, so Carolyn, I mean, you role played this from the beginning. You want to role play it one more time and incorporate this?
Yes, I do. And then I need some help with the list that I created yesterday too.
Okay, okay. Let's hold on to the list. Let's practice this one first, though.
I want to be
Okay,
better at it.
let's do it. Okay, so Carolyn, you know what? I've got life insurance through work. I think I'm okay.
That's great, Coulter. That's more than what most people have, so that's very good. What do you know currently how much that policy is for?
Let's pause, Carolyn.
Oh, I
Use the
said
same question. You're
policy
good.
again.
You're good. You're good. Use that first question. So with that life insurance policy at work, is it like a full coverage type policy where it's going to do this, do that, do this, and do that? Is it like that type of a coverage or just a smaller one? Okay, let's go over it again. Okay.
Okay.
You've acknowledged the objection. You say that's great. Now go into that question.
So, do you know if that is like a large policy, like a full policy, or do you know if that's just a smaller policy?
Okay, we're close, Carolyn. Explain to me in detail what you mean by full policy. And again, I would use full coverage. Is it like a full coverage type policy where it would
Okay.
pay off the loans on the F-350, the Chrysler, pay off the mortgage, replace income for the next 20 years? Is it like
Okay.
that type of a policy or is it just like a smaller one?
Is
Okay, so do
it,
it one more time. Yep.
yep. But so do you know if it's like a full coverage type policy? Is it going to pay off the mortgage, the cars, the debts, or do you know if it's like a small policy that's only going to pay for final expenses?
Okay, I like it, Carolyn. I like it. Just instead of say only pay for final expenses, just say is it or is it just like a smaller coverage? Okay, but
Okay.
you're onto it. You're onto it. But I would encourage you to write these things down if you haven't already. Write that question down and drill it. Get really good at it because it's just a couple, it's maybe 5 minutes a morning for a couple days of just kind of reading it, role playing it, remembering it, and you're going to be way more confident in your conversations. Because guys, can you kind of feel that like if you don't know what to say, you're uncertain. You're communicating uncertainty. You're not communicating like you're the confident professional that knows what they're doing. If you don't know what you're saying, you're not going to communicate confidence to me. Again, we've talked about this before. If I give Carolyn a perfect script, perfect, like it's freaking refined, it's the best script in the world. If she has low confidence and low certainty, she doesn't know that script well to be confident and certain, how well do you think that's going to go for her? Not very well. But if I gave her a broken script, but her confidence and certainty was really high and she was able to communicate that to me, she's going to sell way more with that. And so my thing is like, how do we reverse engineer the certainty and confidence? Well, it's do I know it or not? That's where the first confidence is going to come. That first layer is going to come because I know what I'm talking about. I know where to go next. I know how to stay in control of this thing. The other layer of confidence is that I've done it a million times. Okay. So that's how I reverse engineer confidence. But Carolyn, incredible. Like there's improvement. I would just say write those two questions down, practice them, and come ready for Wednesday because I want to challenge you again. Okay. Cool. We feeling good about the I have it to work objection. We're ready to move on to the next one. All right. All right. Okay. The next one, and guys, that's generally going to come up early on. It's going to be usually an early objection. Okay. The next one I wanna go through is I don't need it. Have you guys ever ran into that objection? I don't need it. I'm good. I don't need it. Okay, so what do we do there? Let's have someone come off of mute and you just pivoted to life insurance and Coulter says, I don't need it. I'm good. Let's get someone new. How would you handle that objection? And again, guys, if you're not the one volunteering, I hope that you're still thinking through this for yourself. What would you say? And some of you might realize, like, I actually don't know what I'd say. Well, there's a problem. There's a problem, but get your mind to going there first. I don't need it. Derek, I don't need it. I'm good. We got two Walters. We'll see if one of them will pop out. Walter, I'm good. I don't need it. Are y'all shy? Carolyn, I like this question here in the chat. Guys, look at that. What makes you say you don't need it? Okay. What makes you say that you don't need it? Okay. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. What I'll do is I'll just give it to you, I guess. I'll just give it to you. Okay. I will just give it to you. So, you know what? I don't need it. Okay. No, I figured you'd probably say that. There we go. I love that one. I guess, David, I guess what made you decide that maybe you don't need it? It's my first question. What made you decide that maybe you don't need it? Now pay attention to the word choice I'm using. Are they assumptive words or are they neutral words? I guess what made you decide that maybe you don't need it? They're very neutral. They're neutral, and we want to communicate neutral. Okay. Now, what do people generally tell you if, what do you see people saying when you ask them, what made you decide that maybe you don't need it? What are some reasons as to why people may not need life insurance in their mind?
Have money in my 401k.
Okay. So we've got some sort of plan already in place. Now, what are those plans? They have money in investments, 401k. Could they already have coverage somewhere, whether it's through work or whether it's outside of work and their own personal policy. Sure. Could that plan also be they've got money in an account and like a savings that they don't need money for this? Sure. So either one, they've already got a plan in place. Number two, they don't have family or dependents. I don't need it. No one relies on me for my income. Could this also be a knee-jerk response? They're just saying that because it's the first thing that came to their mind. Even though they might need it, even though they might want it. Yeah, could be that too. Could it be that they don't have any debt? Sure. It could be that too. Um, and maybe they're just saying this because they don't actually understand. They don't actually understand, but they do need it. Okay? And so when you say, what made you decide that maybe you don't need it? Let's say that they say, oh, I've already got something set up. Was the I don't need it objection the real objection here? No, it's the I already have something set up. Now, if they're not telling you exactly what they have set up, I like to do an assumptive question. I like to say, oh, that's great. Glad you got something set up. I find that most people, David, they'll have a life insurance policy through work. Is that what you've got? Now I'm assuming that he's got a policy through work, and if he has it, he's going to tell me yes. Now I know that's the real objection. It's not the I don't need it. But if he doesn't tell me that he's like, no, I don't have it through work, he's going to tell me where he's got it. Or he might say, oh, I actually just don't have anyone that relies on me for my income, whatever it is. So the whole idea is when they say they don't need it, I want to figure out why they're saying that. I want to figure out what they currently have, what their plan is. Now, again, if it's a knee-jerk response, you say, I find that most people have a policy through work. Is that the same for you? Is that what you've got? He's like, no, I actually don't have one. Like now it's like, okay. So when you say you've already got it taken care of, did you got money in a savings account or what does that look like for you? Okay. What made you decide that maybe you don't need it? Okay. Now, if David says that to me, does he see the problem? Does he see the problem by not having any coverage or having enough? Maybe not. Now, that same question, is this going to be with the coverage, do you know what coverage amount you have? Like if he tells you he has a policy, do you know what coverage amount you have? Well, no. Okay, like, do you know, is it like a full coverage type policy? Like we can even go back to that. Okay. But that's what I want to give you with I don't need it. Yeah, I figured you'd probably say that, David. I guess when you say that you don't need it, like what made you decide that maybe you don't? That's a good question that'll buy you some time with that objection. And the whole idea is after we get whatever his situation is, we want to go back to the problem. We want to help bring awareness to the fact that maybe you don't have the right policy in place. Maybe you don't have enough coverage. Maybe it's a work policy. You don't own it. Maybe that policy is coming to expire. Like we want to take them back to try to build a gap somewhere. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay. And so the next one that I want to do, and again, this is going to be an early objection as well. This is going to be an early objection. The next early objection that y'all might hear is I can't afford it or it's too expensive. Now, they've told you they can't afford it. They've told you it's too expensive, but you haven't even given them the price. So how do we handle that one? What do we say there? If Coulter says, you know what, Caitlin, like yeah, it's too expensive. If I'm saying it's too expensive, what does that maybe mean? Is it possible that I've looked at policies in the past? Is it possible that I maybe had looked at some point and saw how much it would cost and I'm like, that's way too expensive. And so that's my belief about it. Is that a possibility? So let's say it is. So Caitlin says, Coulter, it's just too expensive. I can't afford it right now. I might say, hey, I can totally understand that. I take it that you've looked at different options in the past. I take it that you've looked at different options in the past. And if Caitlin says, "Oh yeah, I have," here's where you can go. You can say, "Caitlin, okay, I got it. I guess what made you want to look in the first place?" Can you guys see that? Like, what made you want to look at life insurance in the first place? Now Caitlin's going to tell me why she wanted what she was interested in life insurance for. AKA, she's going to sell herself, but also sell me and tell me the ultimate root reason as to why she was looking for life insurance in the past. Again, we're taking it from price over to results. And if I can get her, well, I just wanted to make sure that there was coverage in place to, pay off my house if something happened, or make sure that, my family wouldn't have to be in a situation where they're struggling. Whatever she says, you can probe there. Okay, but if they say it's too expensive or they can't afford it, you could say, I take it that you've looked at options in the past. And if she's like, no, I actually haven't, I'll say, Caitlin, I mean, most people think that this stuff is way more expensive than it actually is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least look at some coverage that would actually pay off the mortgage so that David and the kids, they wouldn't have to deal with trying to figure out how to cover this mortgage payment, possibly move out of the house because they're forced to. They can keep it instead of having this added financial burden on top of trying to deal with losing you. Let me at least look and you can tell me what you think. You see that? I'm not sitting in it. I'm moving forward. But I'm kind of like challenging Caitlin, like, I take it that you've looked at something in the past. If she says no, hey, look, I get it. Like, people think this is way more expensive than it actually is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at coverage that will at least do this, so that this, and you can tell me what you think. I'm moving this thing forward. But if she's like, yeah, I've looked at something in the past, I will then say, okay, good deal. I mean, what caused you to want to look at different life insurance options in the first place? And now I'm going to the value side of things, and then I'll move it forward and I'll say, hey, what I'm going to look at, Caitlin, I'm going to look at enough coverage to at least do this, so that this, and you can tell me what you think, and now I'm moving forward. If you're following me, type following in the chat because we're covering a lot here, and I hope you're taking notes because we're going to practice this thing on Wednesday. So come ready, come ready. We're going to get into the more nuances on Wednesday. Okay. Love it. Love it. Okay. So now we've talked about early objections. Do you guys feel a little bit better now? Do you feel like you know more as to what to say, what questions to ask, and almost like a guide or a GPS or a map to follow that helps you handle the objection and keep the conversation moving forward? Type me in the chat if you feel more confident now because you understand it more than you did before this meeting started. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's move on to late objections. These are objections that we're going to get after we give the price. The most common ones are number one, this sounds good, Carolyn. This sounds awesome. I just need to talk to my wife first. You know what, Caitlin? I really like this idea, but I just need to think about this. We're going to cover those two the remainder of the time if you guys are cool with that. All right. So I'm gonna give you guys the option. I know you guys' hearts are probably beating. You're like, I want to try this. I want to role play, but like some of you aren't gonna do it. But I'm gonna give you the option to role play it with me. You know what, Caitlin? This sounds good. I just need to talk. I just need to talk to my wife about it first. You know what, Anthoniel? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This sounds good, but like I just need to talk to my wife first. I need to talk to my wife first. All right, I'll try one more. You know what? Julie, this sounds really good. I just need to talk to my wife first.
Hey, Coulter, what makes you say that?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like I don't want to be in the doghouse. I like to make sure that she's okay with the decision I'm making.
Would it be something that we can set up an appointment together so we can all talk about it?
Yeah, yeah, that could be good.
That way she's in the loop and knows what's going on as well.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have time tomorrow at noon?
Okay, I like it. I like it, Julie. Anybody else want to take a crack at this? And hold on to that, Julie. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you today. Let's go, Caitlin. There we go. I knew Caitlin was just on the phone or something. Caitlin's always willing to do this. Caitlin, this sounds awesome. I just need to talk to my wife.
Oh, Coulter, I understand. I hear that quite a bit. Just curious, we'd love to set up a time to get you both in here, but what kind of questions or what do you think your wife would think of the idea if you passed away, State Farm, wrote her a check to take care of that mortgage? What questions do you think she would have? Just
Yeah,
aren't prepared.
I don't think that she'd have any questions. Um, I think she'd be okay with it. I just, like I said, don't want to be in the doghouse. I'd rather just run it by her before I make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want anyone sleeping in that doghouse. It's cold. December's gonna be cold in
That's
Utah. So
right.
let's see. You know what? We do have to make sure that State Farm is gonna say okay. So it's not something that, we can just say, all right, Coulter wants it, we can get it. So if you don't mind, we can take a few minutes, get the application submitted while you're talking it over with your wife. State Farm will talk it over with themselves and we'll get you an offer. And then once we have that offer, we can loop in your wife and make sure she's good with it. So I'm assuming if you were to pass away prematurely, we're going to write this check out to Lacey.
I love it. I love it, Caitlin. I love it. We're gonna make that even better today. But guys, think about that first question she said. She did. And first she acknowledged it. She's like, and guys, if they say something like, I don't want to be in the doghouse, I love what Caitlin did there. She's like, it's cold out there. You don't want to be there. No way. We can't have you in the doghouse, Coulter. Nope, nope, can't do that. Like connect with them. They're gonna kind of laugh, they'll giggle, and their guard just comes down. Okay, so I love that. Now, the question that she asked is, what do you think Lacey would think about this? I want to just tweak that a little bit, Caitlin. I would just say, how does Lacey feel about getting coverage to pay off the mortgage for her and the kids should something terrible happen to you? How does Lacey feel? How does she feel? Now, that's the first question that you guys we want to ask. And Julie, I like what you were doing in terms of like, let's set an appointment, but I don't think we should go there quite yet. I don't think we should go there quite yet because what will happen is like it's just so easy. Like you just communicated to me that it was very easy. Like I now know that like I can just continue to tell you that and it will get you off the phone. And I may not even show up to the appointment with my wife because we got a lot going on. We've got two kids. We're crazy. Life's busy. And my ability to communicate to my wife that, hey, Julie talked to me about life insurance. It was this much per month. What do you think? And my wife may say, I think we're good, right? Like, you don't need that. That's not going to happen to you. I'll figure things out because my ability to communicate what you communicated to me to my wife isn't going to happen. I'm just going to tell her very vaguely, Julie pitched me life insurance. This is how much it is per month. I'm not saying life insurance to pay off the mortgage so you, Lacey, don't have to struggle with payments. I mean, if I'm gone, that's really hard. But imagine having this added financial burden. Like I'm not communicating that to her, so she's really just thinking life insurance cost. I'm not going to do it. And then it's like we're not going to show up to your meeting, and we're not going to be interested. So what I would say to do is first ask this question. Hey, I totally get it, Julie. I always make sure that I talk to my wife too, because I would hate to be in the doghouse with her. Like that's not a good deal. I don't want to go there. Okay. But Julie, I mean, how does David feel about having enough coverage to pay off the mortgage should something terrible happen to you? Now they're going to say, well, I think he'd be in support of it. I just really want to make sure that I talk to him first. Okay, cool. We're going to move to the second question. Move to the second question. And it's playing a hypothetical situation that Coulter goes home, he talks to his wife, and his wife's like, I don't want to do this. And then there's no coverage in place. God forbid something happens to Coulter. What would Lacey do then? Okay, so you want me to put that together? I'll say, so Julie, let's say that you did go home, you talked to David today, and for whatever reason, David's like totally against this. He's like, there's no way we're doing this. You don't end up getting coverage in place. and then God forbid something happens to you, what would David and the kids do then? You guys see that? You guys picking up on that? I'm empowering Julie to make a decision. I'm empowering Julie to say, you know what? You're right. I don't really care what David says because I want to make sure he's taken care of. And then what Caitlin did extremely well, she's not sitting in this objection, she's moving it forward. She's using that pullback. Coulter or Julie, I'm not even 100% sure that this is something we can do for you. I'm sure you probably knew this, but this is something that you have to qualify for. And so, and we don't really even know what rate you would get. So what I would say we do, Julie, is let's at least just get an application started, fill it out, and then we can see if this is something that we can do for you and what it would come back at. And then it's going to be a lot easier to make a decision. And look, if you go home tonight and you talk to David, and David's like, no, this is the worst decision. This is the worst thing you could have ever done. For whatever reason, he's just so against it. You can call me up. We can withdraw the application like nothing ever happened. And so if something did happen to you, Julie, I assume that we'd want David to be the one that would receive this $500,000 to pay off the house. That trial close question is solid if you guys haven't realized it already. If something happened to you, who would you want this $500,000 to go to pay off the house? That'll help me to move this thing forward. Okay. So the first question, how does spouse feel about getting coverage to X? Second question, let's say that you talk to spouse today. For whatever reason, they're totally against this. You guys don't get the coverage in place. And then, God forbid, something happens. What would spouse and kids do then? Now, look, David, I'm not even sure that this is something we can do for you. Sure, you probably knew this, but you do have to qualify for this. And so what I say we do, let's just start an application. Let's get it submitted. That way we know if this is something we can do for you. That way we know exactly what it would cost. And, worst case, you go home and you talk to Julie tonight, and she's totally against this. Call me up. We'll withdraw the application like nothing ever happened. So if something did happen to you, David, I guess, who do we want this $500,000 to go to? I'm moving it forward. All right, you guys feeling good with that? Type me in the chat if you're like, I love it. We're good. Let's move on to the I need to think about it objection. And we'll wrap up today. All right, Walter, I love it. I love it. Okay, let's finish with the I need to think about it objection. Is this a real objection? Is I need to think about it a real objection? I want you guys to think about it. Is it a real objection? I don't believe it is. Okay, and you're going to see how. So, you know what, Coulter? It sounds all good. I just really need to think about it. What I want to do is I want to sell the exit. I want to let Coulter know, like, I get it, and you're going to get off the phone. And so the way I'll do that, I'll say, hey, not a problem at all. How long do you feel like you would need? Today's Friday. Would the weekend be enough if we connected on Monday? Would that be enough time for you to kind of think this through? Oh, yeah, it would be good. Great. I know, what if we connected it around this time on Monday? Would that work, or would sometime in the afternoon be better? Like, go and set an actual appointment. And what's going to happen is Coulter's now thinking he's getting off the phone. His wall's going to come down. And then you're going to ask this one question. Now, Carolyn, before I go, just so I'm prepared on Monday for questions you might have, like, what is it that you were wanting to, maybe go over in your mind? Again, just so I'm prepared on Monday with questions that you might have. What is it that you were wanting to go over in your mind, just so I'm ready and prepared with questions you might have come Monday? What is it that you were wanting to go over in your mind, just so I'm ready for your questions you might have on Monday? And guess what she might tell me? Well, Coulter, I need to make sure that it fits my budget. Well, Coulter, I need to make sure that my spouse is okay with it. Okay? Which tells me that I need to think about it. Objection was never the real objection. And once you uncover that, you can do one of two things. Number one, you can try to handle it, move it forward and get it into an application. Or number two, you at least have this information come Monday where you can do it then and you guys can gauge that. So to wrap up, guys, before you leave, in the chat, just type in one takeaway you had today. That you're excited, you're like, I'm gonna go implement this. This is gonna take my conversations to a whole new level. This is going to help me become more of an advisor, someone that helps people, rather than someone that's just trying to sell people. What's your one takeaway? Do that before you leave the meeting. And guys, at the end of the day, we're gonna practice this. We're gonna get good at this. We're gonna do this on Wednesday. So come ready to practice, come with your questions. Most importantly, go out and implement this. Take one thing, apply it, and just get better. Get a little bit better today. Have the higher level, more sophisticated conversations. You guys are professionals. So go do it. Okay? Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you guys on Wednesday. Have a good one.